In this video, we're going to create a new database in SQLite. We're going to create two tables using just SQL code and insert data and use simple SQL to check the data is correct. You can find all the instructions, explanations, the database design, the data you can see here and the code you can see here all on the website. So here's the link to ALTS Academy, how we're going to create a simple database. We're going to download SQLite. So we go to the web page where we're going to download it, and then we're going to look for the DB browser for SQLite. Now, it's 32-bit and 64-bit. You're probably using a newer computer, so 64-bit. And in this example, we're going to use for Windows. So you download the installer, and we're going to go through the process of installing it now. So let's have a look. So we've got the installer. We just double click on that, and that will run. And then let's go through the process of installing. Once the window comes up, we can see this is just a question of clicking next. We're going to accept the terms, and then we're going to click next. And we only need the SQLite. It says some other cipher. We don't necessarily need that, so we're just going to take that off, and let's unclick that and then go with SQLite. Wherever it decides to install it, we're quite happy. On the C drive somewhere, click next and then install, and then it will not take too long. It should be able to install quite quickly. Okay, so you can see it's the DB browser for SQLite. Okay, so that will set up, and we'll go to the end and finish, and then we can open it up and we will see this window where we're going to work with our database. Okay, so in our menu we look for the DB browser SQLite. We're going to open it up, and this is the window that you first see. We're going to create a new database, and we've obviously got to give it a name and save it somewhere where we can find it. So in this example, we're just going to put it on a desktop. You could call it new database, or better to call a database something that reminds you of what type of database it is. So student database is fine. We're going to create a table, but we're going to use SQL. So go to the Execute SQL tab, and there's a window we're going to put all our code in. So we can go to the website and we can just copy and paste the code. That's the easiest way, isn't it? So we put the code in, create table, what we've already done. So we're going to run it, and you can see that's successful. So that means our table is in our database, which is good. Now we want data inside, and we've already got the code here, so you can just copy and paste it in. Now this is where it gets scary, because first of all, you only have one instruction in the window, so you delete the previous instruction, and we're going to run this, and you see down the bottom there's an error. Now we haven't made a mistake, but if you keep copying and pasting from files or the internet, you'll see this problem, and it's the formatting. And you can see that we can correct the error by just retyping it in. You could see single and double quotes change from the correct format to the wrong one when you copy and paste, and the easy way to correct that is just delete what you see, which is wrong, and retype it. So here it could be single or it could be double quotes, doesn't matter, but we're just replacing all of the single quotes. And you can notice in the editor there's different colors. You can see the SQL insert into and values is blue, table name is green, student ID and student name is kind of purple. The green numbers, because that's the type of integer, and the text is red if it's correct. Now if we run that, it says it's successful. So that was quite easy when it was correct. Okay, So now we're going to check to see if our database is correct and the data is inside the database correct. So we're going to use SQL. We've got select, we've got asterisk, which means all, from, and then we've got the table name. You can see when we type it, it should come up to help us. Okay, so here's select semicolon. With this, if you forget, it will still work. Click run, and you can see we've got our student data in our student table. So that was good, wasn't it? Okay, so now let's have a look at the course table. So again, we get rid of the old code, we put one command in at a time, and we're going to run it. Again, successful. That's great. You know what's going to happen next, don't you? We're going to look at the insert data. So we're going to copy and paste this in. You know what happens when we copy and paste things in? Let's go to our SQL, paste it in, we're going to run it. You know what's going to happen, but we're going to run it anyway. Let's run it. Oh, run it first. Syntax error. Guess what? It's the same problem as we had last time. Okay. We're going to jump forward a little bit because we don't want to see us spend ages changing the code. So now we can see, hopefully, we've got the text and the dates. And when we run it, the query is successful. So we have our data. So we check it with a select, SQL select query. Select all from course. Make sure you spell it correctly or use the prompt. We're going to run it. And there we go. There's our data inside. Okay. Now make sure you save your database and then you can reopen it. Now we're just going to show you if we reopen it. Inside this window, you can check your table and the column names. You can check your code and you can check your data. So you don't have to use SQL all the time, but being the fact that we're learning that, that's what we're using. But you can see our data's in this correctly. Our course and our student table, you can see the data is in there correctly, which is good. So let's close it. And remember, if you want to, let's exit. Remember, if you want to use SQL, you can. If we go back to the website, you can see we have all these SQL select statements. The code is on the right. And you can just copy and paste these and put them into the window, the SQL window, to check to see if they work. And run them on the code because you've got the student and course table in there already. Remember, all of this is on the website, so have a look and create your simple database. Good luck.